Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jada Blossom, and I have another fun fall card to share with you today. Hey, so I'm using Jada Blossom's Candy Grid die, their Fall Candies Grid Style stamp set, their Stitched Oval dies, Jada Blossom's Street Lamp Die Valentine add-on, their Mini Gnome dies, their Street Lamp dies, their Haunted Highway stamp set, their Street Lamp dies Fall add-ons, and their Halloween Scenic die. And there it is. There's that fun street lamp, and check out the video for that. So next I am going to put together this card. So I'm using a Paper Tray Ink craft card base, 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches. Then this is a white layer, 4 by 5.25 inches, adding it to the inside, kind of what I usually do. And I have a 1-inch strip of paper from Photoplay's Gnome for the Holidays Thanksgiving 6-inch pad. And that's like a 1-inch strip, and I'm going to add that to the inside, and I'll trim off that overhang with a pair of scissors. I just used my ATG tape for that. So now that's in place. There we go. And I've got a couple of apples that were one was put together from the, one's from the Down on the Farm Odds and Ends from Doodlebug. The other one was put together from the Jada Blossom Street Lamp Die Fall add-ons. So I'm just going to add the 2 apples to the inside for fun. There we go. And now I'm going to stamp a sentiment on the inside from the Fall Candies Grid Style stamp set using my Misty and some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This says Happy Thanksgiving. In Canada, our Thanksgiving is before Halloween. Okay, so next I'm going to add some highlights onto these apples just for fun. Right? And, I think it adds a little something, something. There we go. So next I went ahead and I cut out just a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to cover it with some ATG tape. And then I have this piece of paper that's cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than an A2 size card front, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I cut the center out because with an oval, and I'm going to add this paper from the Echo Park Story of Fall 6-inch. It's just like an aqua. And I'm sort of sinking that in the center of that piece. And then I went ahead and I cut out, like from that relief piece, I'm adding the green to the bottom of it to make it look like it's got like a, green leafy grass. And then I'm going to add on, this is Jada Blossom's Halloween Scenic Dies, and I cut this out of dark chocolate cardstock. And I'm going to add on this little fence in my little scene, kind of overlapping the edge of that sort of grass / leaves. And I will weight it down with an acrylic block. Okay, so next I am just reinforcing that fold with my Teflon bone folder. And I'm going to add this whole piece to my card front with my ATG tape. I find that little scrap piece of paper holding everything together just made it easier because I cut that center out with the stitched oval die, and it kind of makes it kind of floppy. You know what I mean? So that piece of paper makes it a little stiffer, easier to line up on the front of a card. So I'm going to line that up. So like I said, this is 1/8 of an inch smaller than an A2 size card front. There we go. And now I'm going to assemble my little gnome. So I used American Crafts black cardstock for the base that doesn't show. Then the hat is cut from that Photoplay's Gnome for the Holidays Thanksgiving 6-inch pad. Then the beard is cut from American Crafts brown cardstock, and I did use some Distress ink around the edge and walnut stain, just so you have some definition. I'm going to pop up the feet. Those were cut from P13 Stamping Pad Skin Tones, and you can get that over in the Jada Blossom store. So there are the fun little feet. I love using the bare feet on the gnomes. I'm going to glue down his little mustache, and that's why I inked around the edge, just so you can tell the difference between the mustache and the beard. And then I'm going to pop up his little tiny nose with some foam dimension. There it is. And isn't that cute? And I'm going to pop that down on his little, and there he is. Isn't he cute? Just too cute. Now, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. I'm going to glue this little guy down in place with some Bearly Art glue. And I'm going to kind of line him up in the center. Just think he's so cute. I love this apple paper. I'm going to add on, this is from that Fall Candies grid style. It just says Happy Fall. And then I use the candy charms and banners to cut out the, scalloped little circle that goes around it. I'm just going to stick down these 2 layers together so my little apple has a sign. So it says Apple Hill. And I'm going to add my little street lamp to my scene. On the right, I'm just going to trim off these little, edges to this fence post. I'm going to get this guy down in place with some Bearly Art glue. And, you can watch me assemble that on the Street Lamp Die Fall Add-ons assembly video. So I'm going to add that in place. There we are. I do weight it down with an acrylic block. Next, I'm going to pop up that little tiny sentiment that says Happy Fall, just with some dimensionals. And, just, me, I'm a little crazy. I fill in the back quite a bit I use a lot of foam dimension. It's just the way it is. And I'm going to add that little sentiment, Happy Fall. There we go. It's too cute. That's the inside. There it is. And I decided to use the fall banner dies. And I am going to put together another little apple. This is Pure Poppy cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, along with dark chocolate cardstock, and then New Leaf cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. So I'm just going to assemble myself a little apple and add the little hands on like he's holding the little apple. So that's Jada Blossom's fall banner dies, and I just put together one of the tiny apples. And then I'm going to pop that up on the back. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing until later in the video. That's why I might not show you everything that I use at the beginning. I try to, but sometimes I don't. Remember, everything is listed in my blog post, which is always linked underneath the video. So if you want to know for sure, you can go over there. Okay, so I am going to, I'm going to get my little apple down. Isn't that cute? And I didn't like where that little stem was going into his mustache. Okay, I'm going to add some little highlights on this apple because I can. Because why not? Secure white Jelly Roll pen with a number 10 and a number 10. Now I'm pulling out these little Falling For You shape sprinkles from Doodlebug, and I'm going to add a few of them, little brown ones with my pen blade there. And, just to add a little bit of shine to my background, but nothing too crazy. And, visual triangles, odd numbers, right? So there we go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jada Blossom blog, Be Inspired by the Team, the Jada Blossom store, to get your hands on these awesome products. And thanks as always for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Make sure to come back and watch some more soon. Bye, everybody.